The first time my card declined, I told myself it was a glitch. I was in the grocery store after work, my 6-year-old clinging to the cart handle, asking for cereal I didn't want to buy. I tapped my card twice. The screen flashed declined like it was scolding me. I didn't argue with the cashier. I didn't make a scene. I just smiled, pulled out my phone, and opened my banking app to move money over from savings. My checking balance loaded, and my stomach went cold. It wasn't low, it was wrong. A number so small it looked like a typo, like someone had swapped my life with someone else's. Then the app refreshed again, and I watched another transaction post in real time. An outgoing transfer with a reference number I didn't recognize. I blinked once, twice. My hand stayed steady on the phone, but my fingertips went numb, because I knew what I was looking at. Not spending, draining. I walked out of that store without the cereal, without the groceries, without explaining anything to my child except, "We're going home." My voice didn't shake. My throat did. In the car, I pulled up the transaction list and scrolled. Wire transfer, cashier's check request, online bill pay to a name I didn't know, a POA update note buried inside the account messages like it was routine maintenance. My mouth went dry. I tapped it. Power of attorney on file, authorized agent, Brooke Shaw, my sister. Brooke had always been the kind of greedy that hides behind concern, the kind that smiles while it takes. She'd been calling me for weeks with that soft voice, too soft, too rehearsed. "You've seemed stressed lately," she'd said. "You're working too much. If something happened to you, who would handle things for your kid?" I remembered laughing once, tired. "Nothing's happening to me," I'd said. "I'm just busy." "Still," she'd replied, "we should be prepared. I can help. I'm family." Family. That word was a tool in her mouth. I pulled into my driveway and didn't even turn off the engine. I just sat there and opened my email search bar. POA, power of attorney, bank update. A notification popped up from that morning that I'd missed in the noise of work. Document received, power of attorney. Successfully processed, as if it had always belonged to her. I looked at the PDF thumbnail and felt my pulse slow into something heavy. I didn't open it yet. I screenshotted the notification. I screenshotted the account page showing her name. I screenshotted the transfers. Then I called the bank. After 3 menu prompts, a representative answered, "Thank you for calling." "My accounts are being drained," I said calmly. "I see an agent added under power of attorney. I did not authorize it." A pause. "Ma'am, are you the account holder?" she asked. "Yes," I replied. "Natalie Shaw." "Okay," she said, typing. "I'm going to place you on a brief hold while I review." "Before you do," I said, voice still even, "tell me if there are any pending transactions that can be stopped." Another pause, longer. Then she came back and her tone had changed. "Ma'am," she said carefully, "there are multiple transfers in progress. One is marked urgent. One is marked in branch pickup." "In branch pickup," I repeated. "Yes," she said, "a cashier's check." My grip tightened on the phone. "Who requested it?" The representative hesitated. "It shows it was requested by the authorized agent on file." "My sister," I said. "I can't confirm names," she replied quickly, but her silence after that told me she didn't need to. "Lock it," I said. "Freeze it." "We can put a temporary restriction," she said, "but because there's a power of attorney on file, the agent may still have authority to act unless we verify the document." I stared straight ahead through my windshield, watching the late afternoon light hit my mailbox like nothing had changed. "So you're telling me," I said slowly, "my money can be stolen with one forged page, and you'll keep honoring it until I fight my way back in?" She didn't answer directly. "Ma'am, the fastest way is to go into your branch with ID and speak to a manager." "Which branch?" I asked. Or she read off the address of my local branch, the one Brooke knew I used because she'd sat in my passenger seat enough times to see it. My throat tightened, but my voice stayed flat. "Put a note," I said. "Fraud. Identity misuse. Not authorized. I'm on my way." "I'm adding it now," she said. "Bring your ID and any supporting documents." I ended the call and stared at my front door for a second without going inside, because I didn't want to waste time taking off shoes while my sister turned my life into a cashier's check. I texted my neighbor, one line, no emotion. "Can you watch my kid for 1 hour? Emergency." She replied immediately, "Yes, bring her." I walked my daughter next door, kissed her forehead, and came back to my car. Before I drove away, I opened the PDF. The power of attorney document filled my screen. It looked official enough to fool a system that wants paperwork to be true. My name typed cleanly at the top, my address, my date of birth, a signature at the bottom that was close. Close enough to be dangerous. But it wasn't mine. My signature has a hard angle on the N. This one was rounded, sloppy, like someone had copied it from memory. And at the bottom, a stamp, notarized, with a printed name under it. I stared at that name so long, my eyes went dry. Because I recognized it. Not from my life. From my sister's. Brooke's best friend from high school. Someone she still bragged about whenever she wanted to sound connected. Lynn Devereaux, she'd said once at Thanksgiving, smiling. "She's a notary now. She can get anything done." Anything. I screenshotted the stamp. I zoomed in. I screenshotted the commission number. Then I drove. So at the bank branch, the lobby was bright and quiet, like a place designed to make panic feel embarrassing. People sat in chairs waiting for appointments. A TV played muted ads. A candy bowl sat on the counter like everything was fine. I walked straight to the desk and set my ID down without a greeting. "My accounts are being drained," I said calmly. "There's a power of attorney on file. It's forged." The banker behind the counter blinked. "One moment, ma'am." "I need a manager," I said. "Now." Something in my tone made her stop trying to be soothing. She picked up the phone, said a name quietly, and waved me toward an office. A man in a navy suit opened the door and introduced himself with the kind of smile that people use before they realize they're in a fire. "Evan Patel," he said, "branch manager." Come in." His office smelled like printer toner and stale coffee. He gestured to a chair. I didn't sit yet. I set my phone on the desk with the POA document open. "I didn't sign this," I said. Patel's smile faded as he leaned in. He scanned the document once, then again, slower. "You didn't sign this," he repeated, and it wasn't a question. "No," I said. He turned to his monitor and pulled up my profile. His fingers moved fast, practiced. Then he frowned. "There's activity in here that—" He started, then stopped. He clicked into a different screen. His eyes narrowed, then widened slightly. "What?" I asked. Patel didn't answer right away. He clicked again, deeper, like he was opening something only managers see. Then he froze with his hand still on the mouse. The air in the office went still. "Miss Shaw," he said quietly, "I need you to listen to me." I didn't move. "I'm listening." He swallowed once and said, "We're freezing everything, all accounts, all access, right now." My throat tightened. Why? Patel's eyes stayed on the screen. "Because the power of attorney file that was used," he said slowly, "tripped an internal risk alert." My pulse stayed steady, but my skin prickled. What kind of alert? Patel's jaw tightened. Then he clicked one more field and read aloud, almost under his breath, like he couldn't believe it. "The notary," he said. He turned his monitor slightly away, then looked up at me with a face that had lost all customer service warmth. "Miss Shaw," he said, "do you know who notarized this?" "Yes," I said, "my sister's friend." Patel's mouth tightened. Then he read the name on the screen, and his voice dropped into something almost respectful. "Lynn Devereaux," he said, "is flagged in our system." He paused, just long enough to make my stomach turn, then added, because she's on a list of notaries tied to fraud cases. Evan Patel didn't ask me to calm down. He didn't say, "I'm sure this is a misunderstanding." He swiveled his monitor away from the glass wall, typed fast, and started doing the kind of work banks only do when they believe you. "First," he said, voice low, "I'm placing a full restriction on your profile. No withdrawals, no wires, no cashier's checks, no online transfers. Nothing moves until our fraud team clears it." My throat tightened, including the one marked in-branch pickup. "Yes," he said immediately, "especially that." He clicked into an audit screen and scrolled. I watched his eyes move line by line like he was reading the autopsy. "This POA was uploaded yesterday," he said. "From where?" I asked. Patel pointed at a field. "In branch," he said. "Scanned at the counter, not through your app." My skin prickled. "Which branch?" He tapped again. "This one." My jaw tightened, but I didn't react. I just took my phone and opened my notes app, hands steady, and wrote it down. "Uploaded in branch yesterday, this location." Patel's voice stayed calm. "It was accepted by a banker under a standard review," he said. "The signature match was marked acceptable." "It isn't," I said. "I can see that," he replied, and then he did something that made my stomach drop in a different way. He clicked into the teller notes attached to the POA intake. There was a short line of text. Patel's mouth tightened. Now it says the agent was present and cooperative. Agent, my sister. Was she physically here? I asked. Patel didn't answer with feelings. He answered with systems. "There's lobby camera," he said, "and appointment logs. Give me a second." He stood, opened his office door, and spoke quietly to someone outside. A moment later, a woman in a black cardigan stepped in, holding a tablet. Her badge read, "Security. Dana Morrow." Dana looked at me, then at Patel. Patel spoke to her like he'd already decided the truth. "Pull yesterday's lobby footage," he said, "around the time the POA was scanned. Find who was with the banker." Dana nodded once and stepped out without asking why. Patel turned back to me. "Now," he said, "this notary, Lynn Devereaux. Her name isn't just on an internal list. It's attached to a pattern." "What pattern?" I asked. When he clicked into another screen and hesitated for half a second, like he was choosing words carefully. "Multiple banks share fraud bulletins," he said. "Not public, internal. When we see the same notary commission number showing up across suspicious POAs, we flag it." He zoomed in on a field on the screen. "Not the name, numbers. Commission number matches prior cases," he said, "and the alert says, 'Do not honor without secondary verification.'" Secondary verification, the thing they didn't do before they let my sister touch my accounts. Patel's jaw tightened as if he was angry at his own system for being slow. "Who does the verification?" I asked. "Our document integrity team," he said, "and sometimes law enforcement, if it's tied to a known scheme." Scheme? I kept my voice even. So what do I do right now?" Patel looked at me like he respected the question. "You file a police report for forgery and identity theft," he said, "and we open a fraud case on our side. I'm also going to reverse whatever we can reverse, but I need you to understand some wires may have already landed." My throat tightened. How much is gone? Patel clicked into account history. His eyes narrowed. He didn't read it out loud at first. He just stared, like he didn't want to be the one to deliver it. Then he exhaled slowly. "Checking," he said. "Savings. A brokerage sweep." I swallowed. "Tell me." Patel's voice dropped into pure procedure. "Total attempted movement since yesterday is just over 50,000, he said. "But not all of it cleared. One transfer is still pending. Or two were blocked by the freeze because you arrived before end-of-day settlement." My hands stayed still on my lap. My stomach turned, but I kept my tone flat. "Show me the pending," I said. Patel turned the monitor slightly. Not enough for anyone outside to see, just enough for me to catch the important parts. A list of transfers with timestamps, each one tagged with a method. Wire, a CH cashier's check, bill pay, all with the same note beside them, POA authorized. My sister had used one forged page to turn every safeguard into a welcome mat. Patel printed a page and slid it toward me face down. "What's that?" I asked. "A restricted activity summary," he said. "It won't show full account numbers, but it shows dates, times, and channels. It's what you give the detective so they can request full records." I nodded once and tucked it into my folder without flipping it over. Patel leaned back. "I also need to ask you something," he said. "Do you have a reason your sister would do this?" I didn't say she's evil. I didn't say she hates me. I gave him a motive that sounded like the truth because it was. "She thinks my money is family money," I said, "and she thinks I'm weak because I don't yell." Patel's mouth tightened like he'd heard that before. My phone buzzed in my pocket and I didn't have to look to feel who it was. "Brooke." I didn't answer. I just let it ring until it stopped. Then I screenshot the missed call. Patel noticed anyway. "She calling you?" he asked. "Yes," I said calmly. "She's probably trying to see what I know." "Do not respond," he said. "Not until you speak to police." I nodded. Then Dana came back into the office, tablet in hand, expression neutral in the way security people get when their job becomes the truth. "I found them," Dana said. Patel leaned forward. "Who?" Dana turned the tablet toward him and tapped play. It was silent footage from the lobby cameras, grainy but clear enough. I could see my sister immediately, Brooke in a light coat, hair perfect, posture confident. She wasn't nervous, she wasn't scared. She looked like she belonged there. Next to her was a man I didn't recognize, older, carrying a folder. Brooke walked to the desk like she owned it. She pointed once toward an office. Then she smiled. Dana paused the footage and zoomed in on the folder the man was holding, a stamp on the front, a notary seal impression. Patel's face hardened. "That's the packet," he murmured. Dana nodded. "They checked in for an appointment," she said. "Listed reason, estate planning update." Estate planning. My pulse slowed, heavy. "Brooke used my accounts like I was already dead," I said quietly. Patel looked up at me. "Exactly," he said. Then Dana added almost casually, "And she's here again." Patel's head snapped toward her. "Now." Dana angled the tablet toward him. A live feed of the lobby showed Brooke at the front desk, leaning slightly forward, smiling too brightly. Dana's voice stayed flat. "She's asking for the cashier's check pickup," she said. "She says she's the agent on file and she's in a hurry." Patel stood up so fast his chair rolled back into the wall. He looked at me, and for the first time his voice lost its calm. "Ms. Shaw," he said, "do you want to stay here while we handle her, or do you want to step into the back office and let security keep you out of sight?" I didn't hesitate. "Back office," I said. "I want her caught on the record." Patel nodded once and opened his door. Dana moved first, guiding me down a hallway away from the glass walls. As we walked, my phone buzzed again. Another call from Brooke, then a text. I didn't open it. I just screenshot the notification. Dana led me into a small back room with a table, a printer, and a second monitor showing the lobby feed. On the screen, Brooke laughed at something the front desk banker said, then leaned closer, her smile tightening into impatience. And I watched her mouth form the words, even without audio. "Just print it. I'm authorized." Dana glanced at me. "If she pushes," she said quietly, "so she'll give us what we need." On the lobby feed, Patel approached Brooke with a professional smile that didn't reach his eyes. Brooke's face lit up like she thought she'd won. Then I saw Patel say one sentence that made Brooke's posture shift. And even from a silent camera angle, I could read the moment her confidence cracked. Because Patel wasn't offering options. He was telling her the accounts were frozen. And Brooke, my sister, was standing in the middle of the bank realizing she couldn't move another dollar and that the only reason was me. On the live feed, Evan Patel stepped up to my sister with that polite, tight smile people wear when they're about to say no, in a way that can't be argued with. Brooke's posture was still confident at first, chin up, shoulders relaxed, like she was there to collect something she'd already earned. Then Patel said one sentence I couldn't hear, and Brooke's whole body shifted. Her smile didn't drop immediately. It stalled, like her face was waiting for reality to catch up to her script. She leaned forward toward him, talking fast now, not panicked, negotiating. Dana tapped a button on the monitor and a small audio icon lit up. The bank's security feed had sound. I heard Brooke clearly. "Evan, I'm authorized," she said, voice sweet with an edge. "There's a power of attorney on file. You can literally see it." Patel's voice stayed steady. "Ms. Shaw, I can see a document on file," he replied. "I can also see a fraud alert tied to the notary, so nothing is moving today." Brooke let out a laugh that was supposed to sound friendly and came out sharp. "A fraud alert," she repeated. "That's ridiculous." Patel didn't move. "Ah, you requested a cashier's check," he said. "That request is now blocked." Brooke's tone changed in one breath. Sweetness gone, impatience in. "Fine," she snapped. "Then call my sister. She'll confirm." Patel didn't even glance toward the back hallway where I was hidden. "No," he said simply. "The account holder is present and has disputed the POA as forged." The word forged hit the lobby like a dropped glass. Brooke froze for half a second, then her eyes darted to the side, toward the front desk banker, toward the door, toward any exit that didn't involve consequences. "Present?" she repeated, voice rising. "She's here?" Patel stayed calm. "This conversation is not going to include her," he said. "You will not be seeing her." Brooke's smile returned, but it was wrong now. Too wide, too bright, like it was covering a crack. "She's unstable," Brooke said, loud enough for the waiting chairs to hear. "She's going through things. She forgets what she signs." My hand stayed flat on the table in the back room. Dana watched the feed, expression neutral. Patel didn't flinch. "Then you won't mind waiting while we verify the document," he said. Brooke's eyes narrowed. "Waiting where?" Patel angled his body slightly. Professional, controlled. "Here," he said, "at the desk, while security preserves the footage and our fraud team reviews." Brooke's voice tightened. "You can't keep me here." Patel's tone stayed level. "I'm not detaining you," he said, "but I am telling you that any attempt to move funds under a disputed POA is being documented and referred." "Referred to who?" Brooke snapped. Patel didn't raise his voice. "Fraud investigations," he said. "How in law enforcement if needed." Brooke's eyes flashed. For a second, I saw the real her, the one who didn't care about family, only about winning. Then she tried to turn the room into witnesses again. She pivoted slightly, letting people see her face, letting them see her performance. "Unbelievable," she said loudly. "My sister is trying to ruin me because I'm the only one helping her." Patel didn't bite. He just held his ground. "Ms. Shaw," he said, "do you have ID with you?" Brooke blinked. "Why?" "Because the POA intake shows you as the agent," Patel replied. "If you want to claim authority, you'll identify yourself on record." Brooke's lips pressed together. She reached into her purse and slapped her ID onto the counter, like she was offended by the concept of accountability. Patel didn't touch it right away, and he nodded toward the banker at the desk. "Scan it," he said, "and print the agent acknowledgement form." Dana looked at me. "That's good," she murmured, "if she signs." "Why?" I asked quietly. Dana's eyes stayed on the screen. "Because then she can't pretend she never acted under it," she said. "It locks intent." On the feed, the banker slid a single sheet across the counter. Brooke glanced down and scoffed. "I'm not signing anything," she said. Patel's voice stayed calm. "Then you're not receiving anything," he replied, "and you're leaving with nothing." Brooke's eyes lifted. Her smile came back, thin now. "Oh, I'll sign," she said, and the way she said it made my skin prickle, like she'd just decided she could outplay the system. She bent over the counter and scribbled her signature fast. Dana leaned in slightly. "There," she said under her breath. "That's evidence." Patel collected the sheet without comment. Then he said something that made Brooke's head snap up. "The cashier's check you requested," Patel said, "was made payable to you." Brooke's face twitched. "That's normal," she said quickly. "I'm the agent. It's for your personal name," Patel repeated evenly. "Not for the benefit of. Not a trust. Not a custodial account. You." Brooke's voice rose. "Because I'm handling things. Because she can't." Patel didn't match her volume. "The account holder disputes your authority," he said, "so the request is blocked." Brooke leaned forward, eyes hard. "Evan," she said, voice low now, "you don't understand who you're dealing with." Patel's expression didn't change. "I do," he replied. Someone trying to use a disputed power of attorney to take funds." Brooke's jaw tightened. She turned sharply like she was going to walk out. Dana's hand hovered near her radio. Brooke took 2 steps, then stopped when a uniformed security guard, another person Dana must have signaled, appeared near the lobby doors and simply stood there. Not aggressive, just present. Brooke looked back at Patel with a smile that wasn't a smile. "You're going to regret this," she said. Patel nodded once. "You're welcome to speak to your attorney," he replied, "and we're welcome to speak to ours." Brooke's eyes flicked around the lobby again, calculating. Then she pulled out her phone and started typing fast. Dana zoomed the camera slightly. "She's texting," she said. I already knew who. My phone buzzed on the table in front of me. "Brooke, where are you?" Brooke, stop this right now." "Brooke, you're embarrassing yourself." I didn't respond. I screenshotted each notification as it came in, saved them into a folder, and kept my face still. Dana watched me do it, then nodded once like she approved. On the screen, Brooke put her phone to her ear and walked toward the corner of the lobby, turning her back to Patel like he was furniture. Her voice dropped, but the mic still caught parts of it. "Lynn," she said. My throat tightened. The notary. Brooke paced once. "They froze it," she hissed. "Yes, all of it. Evan's acting like it's fraud." She listened, then her face twisted with irritation. "No," Brooke snapped. "You said your stamp was clean. You said you've done this 100 times. She cut herself off, realizing she was saying too much in a public lobby. Dana glanced at me. "Yeah, she just admitted pattern," she said quietly. On the feed, Patel stepped a few paces away and spoke softly to the front desk banker, then to Dana's security counterpart, then he pulled out his own phone. Dana's earpiece crackled. She touched it once and listened. Then she looked at me and said, calm as a lock turning, "Fraud team is on their way down." I didn't ask how she knew. The way Dana moved told me this wasn't new for her. Brooke's call ended abruptly. She shoved her phone back into her purse and marched back toward Patel, like she'd decided intimidation was the only tool left. "You're doing this because she's here," Brooke said loudly. "Because she cried to you. Because she—" Patel raised one hand not to stop her physically, just to stop the performance. "Ms. Shaw," he said, "well, I'm documenting your attempt to pick up funds under a disputed POA. I'm documenting your request for a cashier's check payable to yourself. I'm documenting your phone call to the notary." Brooke's eyes widened for half a second. "You can't." "I can," Patel said, "and I am." Brooke's voice dropped, sharp and ugly. "She's going to lose her kid," she hissed, and for a second her mask slipped completely. "She can't even manage her own life." My stomach tightened, but my face stayed still. Patel's expression finally hardened. "That statement," he said, "is also being documented." Brooke blinked, then tried to pivot back to sweet. "I'm just worried," she said quickly. "I'm family." Patel didn't respond to the word family at all. He turned slightly toward the hallway where Dana had moved earlier, and said one sentence that made Brooke's posture stiffen. "Officers here," he said calmly. Brooke's head snapped toward the lobby doors. A uniformed police officer had just walked in, not rushing, not dramatic, just present, scanning, moving with intent. Brooke's mouth opened like she was about to flood him with her version first. Patel beat her to it. "Officer," he said, "I need to report suspected financial exploitation and forgery involving a disputed power of attorney." Brooke's face went pale in a way that looked almost annoyed, like she couldn't believe the world was treating her like a suspect. The officer nodded once. "Who's the account holder?" he asked. Patel didn't point toward me. He didn't expose me. He just said, "She's in the building and safe. The agent is at the counter." The officer turned to Brooke. "Ma'am," he said, "a comp. What's your full name?" Brooke lifted her chin. "Brooke Shaw," she snapped, "and this is a misunderstanding." The officer's gaze stayed flat. "Do you have identification?" Brooke hesitated, just long enough to show she wasn't in control anymore, then pulled her ID out again. The officer looked at it, then looked at Patel. Patel slid the agent acknowledgement form forward, the one Brooke had just signed. "She signed this today," Patel said, attempting to pick up a cashier's check made payable to herself under a POA, the account holder disputes. The officer's eyes narrowed slightly. "Ma'am," he said to Brooke, "I'm going to ask you to stay here while I take statements." Brooke's lips pressed together. "I'm not staying." The officer's tone didn't change. "If you leave, it will be documented as you refusing to cooperate in a fraud investigation." Brooke's eyes flicked toward the doors again. Dana leaned toward the monitor, then toward me, and said quietly, almost clinically, "She just signed that form under penalty of perjury." Brooke stared at the officer like she could outwill him, like if she held her chin high enough, the bank would turn back into her personal ATM. "I'm not staying," she said again, louder this time, eyes flicking toward the doors. Officer Klein didn't match her volume. He didn't need to. "Ma'am," he said calmly, "you can sit and answer questions here, or you can leave and explain to a detective why you walked out in the middle of a fraud complaint." Brooke's nostrils flared. "This is a family matter." Patel's voice cut in, steady. "No, it stopped being a family matter when the POA tripped a fraud bulletin," he said. Brooke whipped toward him. "You're enjoying this," she hissed. Patel didn't react to the insult. He slid one page across the counter, face down, then another, like he was building a stack of consequences. "Officer," he said, "I have the agent acknowledgement form she signed today, and I have the activity summary showing transfers initiated under the POA." Officer Klein held out his hand. "I'll take copies," he said. Patel nodded. "Dana," he called. Dana appeared behind Patel like she'd been there the whole time. She moved with that security calm, no drama, no hesitation. She handed Patel a sealed envelope. Patel opened it, pulled out printed pages, and slid them to the officer without exposing anything readable to the lobby. Brooke's eyes narrowed. "Then you can't give him my banking information." Patel's tone stayed flat. "We can provide evidence of suspected fraud," he said, "and we are." Officer Klein turned to Brooke. "Do you have the POA document with you?" he asked. Brooke blinked. "It's on file," she snapped. "I asked if you have it with you," he repeated. Brooke hesitated, just long enough to show she didn't expect questions that required physical proof, then reached into her purse and pulled out a folded packet. She slapped it on the counter like a dare. "There," she said. "Happy?" Officer Klein didn't touch it yet. He looked at Patel. "Can your staff make a copy?" he asked. Patel nodded once. "We already have it scanned," he said, "but we'll copy what she provided too." Brooke's jaw tightened. She glanced around the lobby again, waiting chairs, people pretending not to listen, or phones angled down like they weren't recording. Her instinct was the same as my mother's in every story: create witnesses, control the narrative. "She's lying," Brooke said loudly, turning her body so the room could see her face. "She's jealous. She's unstable. She begged me to help her because she can't manage money. Now she's panicking and blaming me." Officer Klein's expression didn't change. "Ma'am," he said, "that's not an answer to my question." Brooke's smile flashed again, too bright, too sharp. "Fine," she said. "Yes, I have the document. It's real." "Okay," Klein said. "Then you won't mind if we verify the notary." Brooke's eyes flicked, fast, to the side, to the one part of the document she couldn't control, the stamp. Dana's gaze sharpened as she watched Brooke's face. "There it is," she murmured, more to herself than to me. Patel leaned slightly toward Officer Klein. "The notary is flagged," he said quietly. "Internal list tied to prior POA fraud schemes." Officer Klein nodded, then looked at Brooke again. "Who notarized it?" he asked. Brooke lifted her chin. "Lynn Devereaux," she said, and tried to sound bored. "A licensed notary." Patel didn't move, but his voice cooled. "Yes," he said, "and her commission number is the one tied to multiple suspicious filings." Brooke snapped. "That's ridiculous." Dana tapped her earpiece. A moment later, she stepped closer to Patel and handed him a small device, like a secure phone or internal comm. "Fraud team is downstairs," she said quietly. 2 minutes. Patel nodded once, then turned to the officer. "I'd like our fraud specialist to speak with you," he said. "No, and with the account holder." Officer Klein looked toward the hallway. "I do need to speak to the account holder," he said. Patel didn't point at me. He didn't say where I was. He just said, "She's safe. She'll come out when you're ready." Brooke's eyes widened slightly because she realized I was close enough to hear her, close enough to watch her, and she couldn't reach me. My phone buzzed again on the backroom table. Dana glanced down at it without touching it. "Brooke, answer your phone. You're making a huge mistake. I'm trying to protect you." I screenshotted each one and dropped them into my evidence folder like they were receipts. Dana watched me do it and gave a small nod, approval without emotion. 2 minutes later, 2 people in business attire walked into the lobby with the kind of posture that doesn't ask permission. 1 man, 1 woman, both carrying slim folders. Patel stepped toward them immediately. "This is our fraud specialist team," he said to Officer Klein. "Mark Sullivan and Priya Desai." Priya's eyes moved over Brooke, then over Patel, then over Officer Klein. Calm, sharp, practiced. "We're preserving the profile and pulling full audit trails," Priya said, voice steady. "We can also provide internal bulletin references for the notary flag." Brooke scoffed. "Internal bulletin," she repeated. "So you're just making up secret lists now." Mark didn't even look at her. He looked at Patel. "Where's the account holder?" he asked. Patel glanced toward Dana. Dana turned to me. "If you come out now," she said quietly, "she'll try to bait you." "I know," I said, "but I want the record clean." Dana led me down the hallway. When I stepped into the lobby, Brooke's head snapped toward me like she'd been waiting to strike. For a second, her expression was pure hunger, like she wanted to tear the story away from the facts. Then she shifted into performance. "Natalie," she gasped, voice suddenly soft, almost tearful. "Finally, tell them. Tell them you asked me to do this." I didn't answer her. I looked at Officer Klein instead. "My name is Natalie Shaw," I said calmly, and held my ID out. "Those accounts are mine. That POA is forged. I did not sign it." Brooke's face tightened. "You're lying!" she snapped too fast. Officer Klein held up one hand, not to silence her forever, just to cut the noise. "Ma'am," he said to Brooke, "stop interrupting." Brooke blinked, shocked at being treated like background. Priya stepped forward, voice precise. "Miss Shaw," she said to me. "No, we have the POA intake record. It was scanned here yesterday under estate planning update. The agent on file is Brooke Shaw." "I know," I said. Priya nodded once. "We also have an internal risk alert tied to the notary commission number," she continued, "and we have multiple transactions initiated under that authority." I kept my tone even. "She was draining me," I said. "I caught it in real time." Mark opened his folder and pulled out a single page, then angled it so only I and the officer could see the header. Not readable, just the shape of an official-looking internal memo. "This is the notary bulletin reference," he said calmly. "It's not public, but it's documented and shareable with law enforcement on request." Brooke laughed, loud and ugly. "So now your little club decides who's guilty." Priya finally looked at her. Just once. "No," she said evenly. "The audit trail decides." Brooke's smile twitched. Officer Klein turned to me. "Miss Shaw," he said, "do you want to file a report today?" "Yes," I replied, "and I want an emergency freeze to stay in place." Patel nodded. "Already in place," he said. "No movement, no check pickup, no wires." Brooke snapped. "You can't do that. I'm authorized." Officer Klein looked at her. "You're authorized under a document the account holder disputes," he said. "And the notary is flagged. That's not a position you want to keep arguing from." Brooke's eyes flicked to Priya, then to Mark, then to the officer. Then she tried one last move, the oldest one in my family's playbook, make me look unstable. "She's sick," Brooke said, voice suddenly smoother, careful. "She gets paranoid. She thinks everyone's out to get her. I didn't react. I didn't defend myself emotionally. I reached into my phone and opened the PDF I'd saved earlier. Then I turned the screen toward Officer Klein. "This is the signature," I said calmly. "That's not mine. My signature has a hard angle on the end. This one is rounded." Klein leaned in, eyes narrowing. Then Priya added, "We can pull the signature cards on file," she said, "and we can show mismatch." Brooke's throat moved like she swallowed something sharp. Dana stepped closer to Patel and spoke quietly. Patel's face tightened slightly. Patel turned to Officer Klein. "There's another factor," he said. Klein looked at him. "Go ahead." Patel's voice dropped. "Security has audio of Brooke calling the notary in the lobby," he said, "on our feed. She said, quote, 'You said you've done this 100 times. Brooke's head snapped toward him. "That is not what I—" Dana didn't argue. She simply held up her tablet. "We have it saved," she said, "time-stamped." Officer Klein's gaze hardened. "Ma'am," he said to Brooke, "I'm going to ask you to hand me your phone." Brooke froze. "No." Klein's tone stayed calm. "If you refuse, I document refusal," he said, "and a detective can pursue it by warrant. But if you hand it over voluntarily, it helps you." Brooke's laugh came out brittle. "Helps me," she repeated. "You're kidding." She clutched her purse tighter, like her phone was the only thing keeping her story alive. Then she did exactly what people do when they know the truth is about to be extracted from a device. She turned fast and started walking toward the doors, not running yet, just moving like she hoped confidence could still function as permission. Officer Klein stepped into her path. "Stop," he said. Brooke's eyes flashed. "Move." Klein didn't raise his voice. "If you push past me, it becomes obstruction," he said. "Stay here." Brooke's chest rose and fell once, sharp. Then she said, low enough that only the front desk mic caught it, "You don't understand what you're doing. That money was mine." The lobby went quiet. Patel didn't blink. Priya didn't blink. Even Dana's face stayed flat. because Brooke had just done what fraudsters always do when they feel cornered. She stopped pretending it was about helping and admitted it was about ownership. Officer Klein stared at her for a beat, then spoke into his radio. "I need a financial crimes detective assigned," he said calmly. "Possible forged POA. On attempted theft, notary involvement, we have audio and video." Brooke's eyes widened, and my phone buzzed again. One new alert from my banking app. Not a transfer. A notification I'd never seen before. Account action. New POA document. Upload attempted. Blocked. I stared at the screen, then looked up at Priya. She frowned and turned to her tablet. "Someone just tried to upload a second POA," she said quietly. Patel's jaw tightened. "From where?" he asked. Priya's eyes locked on the data, then lifted. "Another branch," she said. And in that moment, I realized Brooke hadn't come here hoping to win. She'd come here to stall, while someone else tried to push the same forgery through somewhere they didn't know my face. The lobby stayed quiet for half a second after Priya said, "Another branch." It wasn't a dramatic silence. It was the kind of silence you get when everyone's brain snaps from one incident to organized plan. Patel's voice went low. "Priya," he said, "can you see which branch?" Priya's fingers moved fast on her tablet. "Yes," she said. "It's a branch across town." Mark leaned in, eyes narrowing. "Do we have a name attached to the upload attempt?" he asked. Priya shook her head once. "Not yet," she said, "but we have time, device ID, and the employee station ID that scanned it." Officer Klein's expression changed. Not anger, focus. "Call that branch," he said to Patel. "Right now. Tell them to lock the lobby down and preserve footage." Patel didn't waste a second. He stepped away, phone already to his ear. Dana followed him, already talking into her earpiece like she was coordinating a quiet net. Brooke stood near the doors with her purse clutched tight against her ribs. For a moment, she looked like she might run. Then she realized she was surrounded by people who didn't respond to intimidation. They responded to logs. Officer Klein turned to Brooke again. "Ma'am," he said evenly, "hand me your phone." Brooke's eyes flicked to me. Her voice went soft, almost pleading, like she'd decided her last weapon was emotion. "Natalie," she said, "please just stop. We can talk about this." I didn't even look at her. I looked at Officer Klein. "I want this handled on the record," I said calmly. "No private conversation." Brooke's face tightened and the softness evaporated. "You're doing this because you're jealous," she snapped, "because you can't stand that I—" Klein cut her off with the same steady tone. "Phone," he repeated. Brooke shook her head hard. "No." Klein nodded once. "Okay," he said. "Then I'm documenting refusal." He turned slightly and spoke into his radio. "Refusal to surrender device," he said. "Requesting financial crimes detective for warrant path. Also need to identify party involved in second POA upload attempt." Brooke's eyes widened at the word warrant. Dana stepped closer to the lobby doors, not blocking them aggressively, just present. A quiet barrier. Brooke tried to pivot back to performance again, but it was too late. The room had moved past her. Priya looked at me. "Ms. Shaw," she said, "the second upload attempt being blocked means the freeze and the alert are working, but it also means someone is actively trying to move around controls." "Which means she's not alone," I said. Priya nodded once. "Correct." Patel returned, face tight. "That branch confirmed someone came in with a folder and demanded a POA update," he said. "They paused it because of our alert. Security is pulling footage." "Did they identify the person?" Klein asked. Patel hesitated for half a second. "They said it appears to be a male," he said. "Older. They're checking ID logs." My stomach went cold. Brooke's eyes flicked away from everyone for a second. And I knew. My father. Or someone Brooke sent to play the reasonable role. Klein looked at Brooke. "Ma'am," he said, "who is working with you?" Brooke's smile came out sharp and wrong. "Nobody," she snapped. Klein didn't argue. He simply said, "You don't have to answer. The footage will." A few minutes later, a woman in plain clothes walked into the branch lobby with a badge clipped to her belt. She didn't look rushed. She looked precise. "Nah, Detective Ramirez," she said to Klein. "Financial crimes." Klein nodded and handed her a short stack of papers Patel had prepared. Disputed POA, Internal Notary Fraud Bulletin, attempted cashier's check payable to agent, audio of agent calling notary, he said. Second POA upload attempted at another branch while she was here. Ramirez's eyes moved quickly. "Where's the account holder?" she asked. I stepped forward slightly. "I'm Natalie Shaw." Ramirez looked at me once, calm, assessing, then nodded. "You want a file today?" she said. "Yes," I replied. "All right," Ramirez said. "Then I need a statement, your ID, and copies of the document." I handed her my ID. Patel provided a copy of the POA packet. Priya and Mark offered to forward internal bulletin references to her department through official channels. Ramirez turned to Brooke. "Ma'am," she said evenly, "you are being investigated for financial exploitation and forgery. You can speak with me voluntarily, or you can decline and we proceed by evidence." Brooke's nostrils flared. "This is insane," she snapped. "I have authority." Ramirez didn't blink. "The account holder disputes it," she said. "And the notary is flagged. That's not authority. That's a lead." Brooke shifted her purse tighter. Ramirez's eyes dropped briefly to it. "Your phone is inside that purse," she said. Brooke's eyes flashed. "So what?" "So I'm asking you to hand it over," Ramirez replied. "Voluntarily, because we have audio of you calling the notary and we have an attempted second upload at another branch. If you refuse, I request a warrant and we take it anyway." Brooke laughed, brittle. "You can't just take my phone." Ramirez's voice stayed level. "I can request it," she said, "and the judge can order it." Brooke looked around the lobby again like she wanted a crowd to rescue her, but the crowd had turned into witnesses, and witnesses don't rescue you when you confess. Brooke's voice dropped low, harsh enough that the security mic still caught it. "You don't understand," she said. "That money was mine. Mom always said—" She stopped herself mid-sentence. Ramirez's eyes lifted. "Mom," she repeated calmly, "your mother directed you." Brooke's mouth tightened. Ramirez didn't press immediately. She waited, then turned to Patel. "I need your security audio preserved," she said. "All footage of the conversation, the call, and the signing." "Already preserved," Dana said. "Time-stamped." Ramirez nodded, and then she looked back to Brooke. "Last chance," she said. "Phone." Brooke stared at her. Then, slowly, like she was giving away something precious, she pulled the phone out of her purse and held it out with 2 fingers. Ramirez took it and immediately placed it into a clear evidence pouch, sealing it with a strip that changed color once locked. Brooke's face shifted when she saw that seal. She understood what it meant. No more editing the story. Ramirez turned to Klein. "Based on the signed acknowledgement form, attempted withdrawal, internal fraud bulletin, and audio admission pattern," she said. "I have probable cause to detain her pending further investigation." Brooke's head snapped up. "Detain me," she scoffed. "For what? Helping my sister?" Ramirez's voice stayed calm. "For attempting to take $50,000 using a disputed, the flagged power of attorney," she said. Klein stepped closer. "Ma'am," he said, "turn around." Brooke took a half step back. "No," she snapped. Klein's tone didn't change. "Turn around." Brooke's eyes flashed toward the doors again. Dana and the guard didn't move. They didn't have to. The space itself felt sealed. Brooke's shoulders rose and fell once, sharp. Then she turned, shaking with rage more than fear. The cuffs clicked. The sound wasn't loud, but in a bank lobby it sounded like a verdict. Brooke's face twisted toward me, eyes wet with fury. "You did this," she hissed. I didn't flinch. "No," I said quietly. "You did." Ramirez turned to me. "Miss Shaw," she said, "we're also going to pursue the notary. If she notarized a forged signature knowingly, that's a crime. Her commission can be suspended. And if she's part of a pattern, well, it becomes a larger case." My throat tightened. "And the money." "Recovered where possible," Ramirez said. "The freeze blocked several movements. Pending transfers can be reversed. Completed ones will be pursued through recovery and restitution." I nodded once. Later that afternoon, Ramirez called me from her car outside the other branch. "They confirmed the person who tried the second upload," she said. I already knew. "Who?" "Your father," she said. "He claimed he was updating paperwork on your behalf." My skin went cold. Ramirez's tone stayed flat. "He was identified on camera," she said. "He presented a folder with the same notary stamp. He left when the teller said the account was restricted." "So he's involved," I said. "Yes," she replied, "and that elevates this." By the end of the week, the bank had restored what it could. And the cashier's check never left the branch. 2 transfers were reversed before settlement. 1 wire that had landed was frozen in the receiving account under a fraud hold. The rest became a recovery case. Subpoenas, records, restitution. Then the legal consequences landed hard. Brooke was charged with attempted theft by deception, forgery-related offenses, and attempted financial exploitation. Her bail conditions included no contact with me and no access to any of my accounts or property. The court ordered her to surrender any copies of the POA documents and prohibited her from contacting the notary. My father was charged separately for conspiracy and attempted fraud, because the footage of him trying the second upload destroyed any claim that he was uninvolved. And the notary, Lynn Devereaux, was hit too. The state opened a notary misconduct investigation. Her commission was suspended pending the outcome, and she was named in the case file as a key participant. The bank's internal bulletin turned into something formal once law enforcement pulled the pattern across institutions. A month later, I sat in the same branch manager's office across from Evan Patel. Only this time my accounts were stable again, locked down with higher verification, and my sister's name was nowhere near my profile. Patel slid a final letter across the desk. "We've implemented permanent restrictions," he said. "Any POA change requires in-person verification with you, biometric ID match, and document integrity review." "Good," I said. Patel nodded once. "I'm sorry it took this kind of crisis," he added. "It always does," I said quietly, "because people don't respect boundaries until a system enforces them." A few weeks later, my life looked normal again from the outside. School drop-offs, work deadlines, groceries. But inside, something had changed. I stopped treating family greed like drama. I treated it like what it was, fraud. And the moment I did that, everything that used to feel slippery became solid. Records, footage, timestamps, accountability. If someone in your family used a forged power of attorney to drain your accounts, would you confront them first or go straight to the bank and police with proof? Tell me what you'd do in the comments, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.